Hi, everyone. So, it is with great sadness that I share that I can't even, it's hard to say it, that the Idaho 4 house, 1122 King Road house has already started demolition process. It was supposed to start today at 7 a.m. their time, but it actually started even before that. And I wonder if they decided to do it earlier just in case there was, just get it out of the way. It was even looked pretty dark there. An image I'm going to show you now in a second, some images of that. But for those of you catching you up to speed, the 1122 King Road house was where the 4 University of Idaho students, Ethan Chapin, Xander Knodel, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez, were tragically killed last November. And right now on trial is, well, actually, trial hasn't started yet, but the person who's been charged is Brian Koberger, who was a PhD student in Pullman, Washington, just about 10-15 minutes away. And the house in question was gifted from the owner, which was a private owner, to the University of Idaho, and the University of Idaho decided to demolish it, and just for proper healing according to the university. So the first thing I wanted to do was, I thought I had pulled this up, but I didn't, was to share the statement from the family. Now, this was done before the, actually, let me show you WFLA, which is is in Florida, but they're streaming from their partners in the area. So demolition has already started here. That's what that looks like. And it looks like they are demolishing the house and then removing debris away. So that's what it is. And I had kept this little part right here because I wanted to show you a segment with Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, where he talks about why the prosecution would allow this to happen. Because I thought that was a really good segment. And then I'll put a link later. You can watch the rest of this live. This is the statement from the Gonzalez family. It says, "This is our family statement that went out to the media yesterday. The house is set to be demolished today. Please pray for our family, as this is an extremely emotional day for us. Please stop the demolition of the King Road home. The Gonzalez family has reached out to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and the University of Idaho to stop the madness. When the victims can't speak, you have to speak for them when you feel something is hurting the case. Let's just answer the question on why the King Road house should stand for basic evidentiary purposes. What were the vantage points of the roommates, Dylan and Bethany? What could they hear from where they were in the house? What could they see? How far away was Dylan when she saw BK, and why didn't he see her? Could their surviving roommates hear a dog barking from the 3rd floor? Screams. Can you hear those same sounds from the bottom apartment? Outside a house, if evidence is presented about BK leaving or watching the house, what windows could he see in from where he was parked? Was he able to view the inside of the house and what was going on from outside sitting in a car walking by? Goes toward premeditation. How long did it take for him to walk to his car? What points of entry could he have gotten into the house? If there is audio evidence, what can you hear standing outside the house? What can you hear inside the house? What was Xana's path in the house to pick up the DoorDash? Did she have to walk past different rooms? Could she have walked past VK? Where could he have been hiding? This is terrifying to think of. But these are really good questions. All the entry and exit points in the home. How could you get in and out without anyone seeing you? Were the decks potentially access points? The decks and landscape features are very close to each other. Any biological evidence? So the house is actually kind of like on a slope, which is why the house is built the way it is. Any biological evidence? Where was it located in the house? Any proximity to the victims and any trail outside of biological evidence? If the house itself was a target, which was the theory from the beginning, which is a supposed reason that the University of Idaho called off their campus-wide warning while BK was still not apprehended, meaning before they had pressed charges on him. Why was the house a target and its access exit points and the driveway configuration for a vehicle to enter, exit, turnaround. Vantage points of other camera evidence pointed toward the house. These are just a few of the things that the family has thought of, and no one quite seems to be able to answer about the King Road house. Now, of course, a trial hasn't happened yet, and the prosecution hasn't put forth all of this information yet, so we won't know all the information available to them publicly yet. The question is, if the home is demolished, with all of these questions be able to be answered, will all of these questions be able to be answered later on with diagrams, models, technology, etc., if they become an issue at trial? If not, then leave the home alone. And yes, star people are real. Biggest mistake ever. Come on, will be fruit soon. It's just, Now, I'm going to read a section here, or I'm going to show a section here of what Peter Tragos, who's an attorney, has to say about the prosecution. I thought that was really interesting. So they are they're also asking for a trial to be scheduled. Now, we know that with murder cases, especially a death penalty case, it could take several years. But it seems like the prosecution was pushing toward a trial in July or in the summer. And so it's like, well, let's just wait 6 more months, right? So here I wanted to share, let me stop sharing that. Oh, you know what? I wasn't sharing my screen. Sorry, guys. I've been reading the Gonzalez family statement, and I thought I was sharing the screen. Okay. So here, this is a really interesting section. Let me make sure that volume's up. And all right.
Michelle says the word that she uses is suspicious that the prosecution agreed to this. And again, I have to check my notes, just to, journalist at heart here, making sure that my crossing my T's, dotting my I's, but whether or not the prosecutors actually agreed to this or whether or not they just didn't stand in the way, objecting to this. But bottom line is the prosecutors didn't put up much of a fight, Peter, in preventing the demolition from taking place. Suspicious is the word that Michelle uses. If you're a prosecutor in this case, don't you want the source material? Don't you want the house to remain standing for as long as possible? What do you think?
Yeah, so that was the big question. The defense, it might make sense for the defense not to want to have the house there, but why would the prosecution be okay with, or at least not try to stall or halt the demolition of the house? That's a big question many of us have.
So again, I don't know what the prosecutors know, right? And that's always a difficult part when we're commenting on these cases. The lawyers and the parties know so much more than we on the outside can know, especially with this case, all the things that have happened under seal and that have been confidential. I would think there are a couple reasons, probably 3 main reasons the prosecutors could have not objected to this. Number one, they didn't think they needed it. They weren't going to ask for a jury review. They did all the testing. They think the recreation is good enough, and they feel confident enough to go forward. Number two, they're overly confident. They feel like they have so much evidence, there's no way any reasonable juror would ever not convict Brian Koberger. So they said, what the heck, the University of Idaho, do whatever you want. We don't need it. Or number three, they thought potentially a jury review could be bad for them. And maybe they think there's some argument the defense could make or some lack of evidence type of deal that if the jury went to the house, they'd be like, this was impossible for one man to do this in however many minutes. And maybe they thought it was actually not a great view for them evidentiary-wise. And that's why they felt like they may be better off with the house demolished. I don't know. Those are just the 3 kind of arenas I could see the prosecutors thinking in when not putting up a fight to demolish this house. Like you said, I'm not so sure they agreed to it or wanted it to happen.
J. Ray.
Okay, so I thought that was really interesting. So he said the 3 possible options. One, they thought that they already have all the 3D renderings. They're not even going to do a jury view of the house or walkthrough of the house, which seems unlikely, but okay. Number 2 was they're overly confident. They don't need the house as evidence. And the third is that it would actually hurt the prosecution, which is very interesting. And later on, Peter says, he was only there for a short time because he's on vacation. But later on, he says that this is like an all or nothing. The prosecution is going all in on it being Brian Koberger. So if Brian Koberger is found not guilty, we still have a murderer on the loose, and now there is no house to be there for evidence of a new defense team. So Peter has said, and I'm not going to show it here, but if you listen to him, from an attorney perspective, it makes sense. There's no reason it makes sense to keep the house. There's no reason to not have the house or to demolish the house before trial and any potential appeals happen. What I don't want is for the defense to later say, use this as an appeal. I feel like because the defense agreed or didn't stop the house from being demolished, that I feel like an attorney, a judge later would probably not allow that, because if I don't know, would not allow that to be used on appeal. But anyway, I think it is, I was really hoping that they would halt the demolition at least until potential trial in the summer, but it seems like it has been demolished. And so it's a moot point at this point, I guess, right? As far as whether or not they're going to, yeah, it's a moot point now. It's been demolished. The house has been demolished. So it's unfortunate. This was what I was referring to earlier. I was reading this in the Gonzalez family page, and I was just reading it. I thought I was sharing my screen, so I'm sorry about that. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. This was just a quick read. He's been covering the demolition now for about an hour. Actually, you know what? Let's go and let me just share the real time of what's happening there. We'll just watch some.
Here to just keep the train on the track, so to speak.
So they are demolishing the house, and then they had to take all the debris and put them in trucks. JB actually said that they have to keep track of the debris because people might be doing trophy hunting, which is horrible and disgusting. But I guess that's a legit concern. So yes, so the house is being demolished, and there goes the house used as evidence. It's unfortunate, and not what I and many people in the true crime community feel was the right move. What is what I had, and I made a live yesterday. I said, well, what could they have done instead because the university is just going to put some type of memorial there anyway, right, in place. It's not like we can forget it happened. Like, okay, let's put our head in the sands and just forget this has all happened, and it's going to go away. No, that does not happen. What I thought they could have done instead, and this is, I guess, a learning lesson for other future cases. What they could have done instead is maybe planted a bunch of trees, tall trees right in front to cover it up, lock it up, put an alarm system in there so that nobody gets in, or at least they're notified if anybody tries to get in or break into the house. Put either some type of a mural, like create a pop-up mural created from the community, or trees and gardens, something that can be used temporarily until the trial is completed. Because really, the reality is that people who want to go to the site to gawk over the site are going to do it regardless if there's the house there or if there's a garden there or something else, right? People are going to know that site. So it would be interesting to see what they do now in the site. Well, this is it. I just wanted to share that, and hopefully, I don't know. I can't even say it's a moot point at this point. Like I said, the house is demolished, so it's not like we can't petition for any more. The live I did yesterday was to petition for the house to remain or to halt the demolition. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate if you learned something today. If you enjoyed this video, or if you didn't enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel for more true crime advocacy news. And we try to be the voice for the voiceless, for missing persons, and for those who need our support. And in this case, I feel like the families of the victims who are survivors themselves are the ones that we're supporting here. Actually, the victims themselves too, right? Because if this house could have led to justice, then or better justice, either way, then it would be a good piece of evidence to keep. But I guess they decided that it wasn't good enough. That the cons of having the house outweighed the pros of having the house It's unfortunate, but all right, everyone, have a safe rest of your day. Happy New Year. Remember to stay safe, stay thriving, listen to your intuition, right? A little gut feeling that you get, and try to keep it empowering. All right, everyone. Bye.